some Rajagopalan
Right.
and G.C. Edwards, Grant Edwards. Bill Hettinger is a very hard act to follow, and I'm not even going to try.
You go right out.
What I want to talk about today is I want to talk about two or three things. I want to talk about what might be done, and what I'm going to do is present some thermodynamic results, not our results, but using some results that were obtained by a guy named Alberti at MIT, who very recently, let's say 1984 to 1985, has been publishing in Journal of Physical Chemistry and INEC Fundamentals some algorithms for calculating, for estimating the thermodynamic stabilities of a wide range of hydrocarbons. What this allows you to do is to tell, for example, if you say I want to make a high-octane gasoline, you can find out where the thermodynamic equilibrium is, and then you can adjust your catalyst strategy accordingly by either staying away from the equilibrium if it turns out the equilibrium would give you low octane, or moving towards it if it would turn out that it would give you high octane. So we're going to look at what thermodynamics can tell us about compositions of gasoline a little bit. And we're going to look at where we are, what current commercial catalysts do, and what current octane catalysts do in terms of these compositions. And then we're going to look at a few new zeolites to sort of see how they change slightly. And then get a perspective on what might be done, but nobody's done yet. Just get my folder organized here. Okay. The kinds of things that one might want to do, you can make olefins, you can make aromatics, you can isomerize paraffins. One way to it turns out isomerized paraffins should give you a much higher octane than less isomerized paraffins. So one might say if you can isomerize olefins, you might hydrogenate those olefins in some way and get a more isomerized product. Generally, isoparaffins and aromatics give the best mixture of what they call motor octane and research octane, which is road octane is the average of those two. Olefins tend to give high research octane, not such high motor octane. The kinds of thermodynamic constraints that one is working with, and these are based on what you would get in an FCC catalyst at about that temperature. And what is done is Alberti's program, we put in Alberti's program the correct hydrogen partial pressure and the correct carbon-hydrogen ratio, which has to be in there for the FCC. And this is roughly what you get. What it says is that if you were at equilibrium, you could make 20, 30% olefins. It says that your isomer distribution would be this. These are for the hexanes, the research and motor octanes are about the same, and for the normal C6, it's very low. For the 2,2-dimethyl, it's very high. We have never observed that the FCC catalyst doesn't appear to make this material, which is too bad. It does make the rest of these things. The aromatic paraffin ratio thermodynamically is extremely high. What that says is that in principle you could turn an FCC unit into a BTX unit, or you could simply make in your FCC essentially 100% aromatics if we had a catalyst that would do that, at least from the point of view of the thermodynamics. Again, of course, the aromatic to olefin is equally high, and aromatics have very high, the aromatics have very high both RON and MON, so that would be a very good product if you could make that with units. What we can do is, since we know what these distributions are, we can look at conventional catalysts, and we can just see where we are relative to some of these distributions. This is just a very brief, I'm not going to go into this at all. This is, what Alberti did was, this is just the reaction when you lose hydrogen to make, say, an olefin or aromatic or whatever it is. This is the equilibrium constant, partial pressure of hydrocarbons and hydrogen. This is the same thing. he developed something called a isomer group, which is a way of, if you want to know, for example, what the thermodynamic probability of, say, a C6 olefins and C6 paraffins is, rather than calculating for each member of the group, you can simply calculate it for, you can get an equilibrium distribution of C6 olefins and relative to, say, C7 olefins without knowing anything about the individual compounds. And I'm not going to go, I don't have time to go into it, but that's what this business is about. Conventional FCC catalysts that we're going to talk about are primarily, we have amorphous silica alumina catalysts, which are very early, in which a lot of catalyst companies, in fact, most catalyst companies still offer some form of amorphously active matrix silica alumina materials for the cracking of these things. Usually, they always contain zeolite, but they always have, in many cases,